Whoops. Had some technical difficulties there. I hope people will hop right back on. I'm going to wait a minute, give people a chance. I pressed the wrong button and ended the previous video. So I will just wait. Somebody's hopped back on. That's probably Jim. I pressed finish instead of stop. Finish ended the video instead of stop the invitations. So anyway, yeah, it says I'm finally live and they're building an audience. So hopefully those invites went out and people didn't think I'm crazy. So I'm loving this beautiful weather. It's been a welcome change. It really has, except for allergies, which I think everybody's had. The weather's really been nice. And it was another nice one today. So that's good. That's good. Let me go ahead and invite a couple more people here to let people know what's going on. I know a lot of people are on the West Coast are probably eating dinner and that type of thing, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll okay. Now we'll cancel that. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Hi, Amber. The topic I wanted to talk about tonight was change. And I hadn't really planned too far ahead. Sometimes I know way in advance what topic I want to do. But today it kind of came to me on the way home. And I guess maybe because we're looking at making some changes, some big changes, some little changes in our lives. And so it just seemed like a timely topic. Plus a lot of my friends are, many of our friends are making some changes. I guess it's this time of year, spring fever or whatever, that people get. So anyway, how about you, Amber? You just made some changes, right? You just moved back to this part of town. And we're glad to have you back in our neighborhood. And I know that's a change, and change can be stressful for everybody. So hi, Rosemary. Thanks for hopping on. Had a little technical difficulty there. I started the live and sent out a whole bunch of invitations, and then I pressed finish instead of cancel and cut myself right off. So, oh well. Just goes to show you that you don't have to be perfect or even know what you're doing. Facebook lets you get on here just any old day. So anyway, our topic tonight is going to be about change. And Rosemary, I just think of you every time I think of the topic of change and smile, because you just seem so darn happy with the change that you made in your life recently. And I'm really proud of you, because I know it was hard to make the change. Anytime we make a change, it can be tough for us. So anyway, let's go ahead and we'll get started on our topic of change. I did a lot of reading. You know, I always do like to research whenever I'm going to talk about anything. Not because I want to sound like an authority or anything. Hi, Deidre. But just because I like to see what other people are saying. And the topic of change is something that's pretty universal. And I just thought it was something that was pretty timely. Like I said, a lot of our friends are making some big changes in their lives. So it just seemed very timely. One blogger that I came across said that there are, from their point of view, there are two different ways of making changes. And one of them is called stepping. You make little changes, one foot in front of the other. And one of my mentors has been teaching a lot of us in his coaching course to make 1% changes. And in a lot of ways, those are harder changes to make, but they're only harder because you don't see the results right away. But you make 1% changes until you finally get to your goal. So that's one. I guess that would be called the stepping method. And the other one is, I guess he equates it like to an avalanche. So let's talk about both of those a little bit. For the stepping method, and what he says is that you kind of can tell when you're supposed to go with which one. Obviously, there are situations that we find ourselves in where we need to just jump. We need to just make the change, cut ties, whatever we're doing. We need to make that change right away, either as a matter of our mental health, our physical health, our safety, or whatever. There's some reason. And in that case, we need to just get up and go. And we need to not think about it. And we need to just do it. Those are not the ideal situations. But obviously they can be a fact of life. The one that I like the best is the stepping one, where we have time to kind of ease into it. But we need to keep in mind that, at some point we're going to get to that point where we need to jump. And realizing that all those steps that have led us up to that point have prepared us to make that big jump. And the only difference will be after those steps of preparation is that the jump won't be quite as scary. And the chasm won't be as wide. And we should be able to be more like jumping across a puddle instead of the Grand Canyon, if we've really spent the time and energy and thoughtfulness that we should have. Change requires planning. And in order for the change to happen, we need to know what our end result is. Again, I go back to what our mentor always says, is that, whatever you do it with the end result in mind. So if your end result is that you want to retire a millionaire, for instance, I don't know why that was the first one that popped into my head. If you want to retire a millionaire, then you need to break down all those steps that you need to take. You need to start investing. Maybe you need to get a second job. I don't know, all the things that you need to do. If you want to buy a vacation home or a dream home somewhere, if you want to go on a vacation, if you want to start a business, you need to go through each of the goals that you have and break each of them down into bite-sized, chewable pieces so that you can accomplish them, because they're not going to happen overnight. But we know they're going to happen, and they'll happen more readily and probably more quickly if we have them written down and know what they are. The next thing that this particular author talks about is to be inspired. And in the law of attraction, they call that manifesting your goal. You want a dream house. You have to visualize it. What's in your mind is what becomes reality. So, go to these model homes and tour of homes, I guess is what it's called. In a lot of parts of the country, they have the big fancy display homes that builders want to show off their, all their best work and everything. And so, if you want a dream house, you need to go be able to visualize what that dream house looks like. If you want a vacation, maybe you need to go to some of these talks and some of these companies that offer to, they show you videos on what vacation packages you can buy. You go to the beach for a long weekend or for a week to help you envision what it would be like to live there all the time. You research businesses to decide what business you want to start. Maybe you even get a part-time job in another similar business so you can kind of get a feel for what it's like. And thanks for sharing, honey. and start going through the steps so that you can visualize and get a picture in your mind of what that change is. It's also important not to be afraid. This is a big one, and change is scary. It is for me, it is for everybody, and I'm pretty adventurous. But change can be really scary. But, it's all in how you frame it. And again, we're learning through this coaching program that there's really not any such thing as failure as long as you learn. When we fail, we really need to just look at it as a learning moment, as an opportunity to grow, to evaluate what we need to do differently. And I love this quote from Thomas Edison, who said, "I haven't failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." So I think those are pretty wise words to live by. And, if somebody that accomplished had to try 10,000 times to succeed, then, I think we need to expect that we're going to make some mistakes too. But again, fear of change it can be crippling sometimes. Even if we know that the change, again, if we're in a bad situation and we know that the change is going to be better, anything that's unknown, I guess, or that's different or out of our comfort zone can be really challenging. So again, we need to try to figure out ways to not be so afraid. Again, maybe make those 1% changes, make those little bite-sized changes in our lives so that the next step isn't so scary, because we took a step, we took the next step. So every step we take, we get a little more courage. And again, in the law of attraction, one of the men in the movie talks about we could drive across country in a car at night with just the headlights seeing 100 feet ahead. Once we get to 100 feet, then we know that we can see the next 100 feet and the next 100 feet and the next 100 feet. So we need to have to trust in the process. We need to trust ourselves. That's right. Fearing the change is okay, but we should never give up. We need to keep trying, and we need to trust the process, and we need to trust ourselves. And again, we need to envision the end result, and that, I think, that helps us keep stepping. And even if the change that you're making is a good change, it's something that you really want. I think a lot of times, no matter, hi Karen. Karen knows all about change. She just had a big change in her life too. Even if the change is good and it's something that we really want, we can maybe be afraid of what other people are going to think. Maybe they won't think that we have a good idea. Maybe they don't agree with a decision that we've made. Maybe they don't think our dream is a good dream. Whatever, and we're kind of conditioned to think about what other people think about our dream. So that can be a real deterrent. It can be something that holds us back, and we have to just make sure that we stay true to ourselves and that we believe so strongly that we don't care what other people think. I think it's also important to surround ourselves with people who believe in us, and even if they don't understand or agree necessarily with the change that we want to make, that they support us because they're our friends or family members. So I think that's important too. So again, you break down your goals into little bite-sized pieces. You be inspired. You find ways to get a picture in your mind of what you want, whether it's $1 million, whether it's, spend the rest of your life in a little cabin in the woods. Go look at some cabins. Go hiking in the woods. Go camping. If it's, to live in Mexico on the beach, that's mine. Go to Mexico. Spend some time on the beach. You have to give your brain something to work with so that you can persevere. So, I don't have any big words of wisdom beyond that, beyond what the experts say. Yes, Deidre, let's go. um, we have to just, again, you begin with the end in mind and go from there. And that makes it a little bit easier to, if we start to veer off track, we can go, oh, wait a minute, I'm losing track of what my goals were. So anyway, like I said, I don't have a lot of words of wisdom. I have a lot of experience with change because we've had, you live long enough, you experience a lot of changes, some good and some not so good. I do know this, that so far I've survived every single one of them. And I bet you have too. Every single change in your life, you've survived it. So that's the good news. The good news is that we will survive it. We may not get to where we want to go right away or in the time that we want to do it or the way that we want to do it, but we'll survive in the meantime. And hopefully we'll get a little bit wiser and a little bit smarter, and we'll get it figured out. So this was really short tonight. Like I said, I didn't really have a big plan in mind. You could talk about change all day long. I think I've covered the high points. I hope there was some little nugget in here that helped you with a change that you might be getting ready to make or that you're thinking about making. And I hope you have a great rest of the night. I hope you have a wonderful week. Hope the weather stays nice. And I will talk to you all next Monday. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to share this with anybody you think could use it. Bye-bye.